Hi everyone, it's Maria, and I just got through reading this really good book. It's called Flyer, a novel by Judith McAllister. I love historical fiction, and this one does not disappoint. And so anyways, this book takes place in 1912, and it's a coming-of-age story about a boy, a 13-year-old boy named Jack Neely, who wants nothing more than to learn how to fly, just like the Wright brothers. Jack heads off to an aviation show that's come to Springfield, Ohio, his hometown, and his dog Rufus tags along. But he does have to leave bright and early in the morning before his father, who's drunk and abusive, finds out, because he could try to stop Jack from going. And so anyways, I'm going to read you an excerpt from Chapter 2. I almost said Channel 2. Chapter 2. And so you can get a feel for the author. Okay? Here goes. Chapter 2. Now Jack's at the airfield. Jack found himself a seat at the top corner of the stands and settled back to wait. A brass band dressed in smart blue uniforms with shiny buttons played some military march from a platform just below. Across the field, a burly crew in Union stripe was jockeying a cream-colored Curtiss pusher with red wing struts toward the far end of the arena. Even from this distance, Jack could see she was a beaut. What he wouldn't give someday to take that baby up into that blue sky. But the possibilities of that were slim to zero, he told himself. The Neelys were as close to the bottom rung of the prosperity ladder as you can get without falling off. Resting his feet on the empty bench in front of him, he braced both elbows on his knees and rested his chin in his hands. He thought about his teacher, Miss Appleby. She seemed to believe that where you come from didn't matter. Ours is a great nation, she'd said more than once, a country where anything is possible for those who apply themselves. Any one of you might one day be president of these United States. Huh? He said now, as he mulled it over. He guessed if Miss Appleby said it was so, it was, 'cause she knew about everything written in those books stacked on shoulder-high shelves at the back of the classroom. Trouble was, she never said how or where it might be exactly that you should apply. He guessed that was something that everyone had to figure out for themselves, based on the particulars of what they wanted. He knew what he wanted, all right, knew it so well he could taste it like last night's leftovers. He wanted to be an aviator, and not just any aviator, but one of the best birdmen there ever was. The band had left off playing, Jack suddenly realized, and a fella in a red coat and silk high hat had appeared near the edge of the grass. "Ladies and gentlemen," High Hat hollered through a megaphone half as long as he was tall, "might I direct your attention to the end of the concourse?" Jack gathered the rest of his thoughts from where they wandered and did as the man said. The crew had cleared away the guy lines attached to the flyer, and one of the burleys was reaching up to give the propeller at the rear a good spin. It took a second time, but then with satisfaction Jack heard the cough, then chatter of the engine echo across the field. The prop was no more than a blur now, and the little flyer trembled in anticipation like a filly at the gate. Jack's heart pattered in response. The aviator, McAuliffe, made his grand entrance in riding breeches with leggings and a leather jacket and helmet. Wash from the prop lifted the ends of a white silk scarf from his shoulder. The crowd broke into applause. A fella to Jack's left yelled out, "Give us a show, Mac! Let her rip!" And even though he knew McAuliffe couldn't hear a thing over the engine's roar, Jack hollered, "Take her up!" 'cause the excitement of the crowd had a hold of him. The burly minding the throttle stepped away as the aviator climbed into the saddle, strapped himself in, and lowered his goggles. As he gave the engine a rev, the crowd fell silent, except for a baby crying somewhere down front. Then McAuliffe gave a thumbs up, and the pusher shuddered and sprang forward, little puffs of dust feathering into the air behind her wheels as she gathered speed. Within a lick, she was airborne. People were hollering again and waving their hats. A lady next to Jack looked primmer. Then a maid-aunt put her fingers to her teeth and gave a sharp whistle. My God in heaven, but she's a sweet airplane, Jack thought. As the flyer streaked past, Jack turned in place and tipped back his head, slack-jawed, then murmured a "whoa" as McAuliffe banked her into a tight turn and nosed her into a steep dive. She leveled out across the field, wings waggling. At the far end of the arena, the pusher climbed into another turn against a sun bright as a copper penny. There was only scattered applause this time, and a quick glance told Jack that most folks were as ogle-eyed as he was. A few women squealed and held hands over their open mouths, but most men had fallen silent, reverent as new altar boys. As the flyer swooped away from the sun, the band played a ta-da! On cue, the aeroplane angled up sudden-like, climbing toward heaven itself, engine whining. Jack felt the crowd hold its breath as the pusher leaned backward, then powered into the top of a wide loop to scream down the other side. Silk streamers blossomed, then stretched out from her lower wings to trace the path. The crowd found its voice again as the flyer settled down like a bird into a soft landing mid-field. Almost lost beneath the raucous noise was the hi-hat fella's strident, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wiley McAuliffe." The aviator sprang down from his perch to hoots and hollers, throwing his arms wide. Jack added his own cowboy yell. Then folks began to file out, laughing and jostling and saying things like, "That was worth my dime," and "couldn't pay me enough to climb into one of those contraptions." Jack lagged behind, savoring the butterflies still beating wings in his belly. "I'd do it for free," he thought. Hell's bells, I'd fork over a whole bag of cat's eyes and steelies for the chance. And somehow he told himself he had to find a way to get that chance. And so anyways, I love that. That's chapter 2. This book will definitely not disappoint. It starts in 1912 when Jack is 13 and goes all the way to, I believe he's about 18 when the story is over, and you'll go right into World War I with Jack. So anyways, I made a few notes here, and I'm going to read them to you because I couldn't memorize them. But I really feel that Jack delivers. In fact, I'm going to leave this on Amazon, my review. Flyer really delivers. It's well written. The language is lyrical. I love the language in this book. It's the story is packed. I mean, it's packed with adventure, drama, suspense, and some romance, a really sweet romance. Flyer will make you cry. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you hold your breath. Oh yeah, more than once. And when you least expect it, it'll punch you in the gut. Believe me, it will. Flyer leaves the reader satisfied. It left me satisfied, yet yearning for more. And I couldn't put the book down, Judith McAllister. I just wanted you to know that. I couldn't put it down. And when I was through reading it, I went back a couple of times. I even feel a little emotional because it was so good, just so good. I wanted there to be more chapters. There hasn't been that many books that I've read where I go back and I'm searching for more chapters, even though I know they're not there. And so, but anyways, I can hardly wait to read your next novel. Thanks so much, Judith McAllister. I'm going to put some information down below. And so I just double-checked Amazon. You can get this on your Kindle for $2.99, or you can buy a paperback, and I believe the paperback was $12.95. So anyways, here you go, Flyer, a novel by Judith McAllister. Thanks again, Miss McAllister. Great book. Bravo. Bye-bye.